Alright, so the first muscles we're going to see are the trapezius muscles. So the rabbit has a spinotrapezius. On this rabbit, you can see it starts here, goes back here, and then there is an acromiotrapezius, starts up here, comes up to the neck. In the rabbit, the acromiotrapezius has this wee little lateral branch called the levator scapula ventralis, just to make things confusing. And then we have deltoids next. So spinodeltoid sits here. The acromiodeltoid is hidden partially under acromiotrapezius, but you can see this aspect of it here. And then cleidodeltoid is this one. Starts here, goes over here. Okay, so we can look at those again with the trapezius out of the way. So here you can see the spinodeltoid coming to this point where there's an extra little projection off of the scapula. And then here you can see the beginning of the acromiodeltoid. And then if we move this piece of trapezius, then we see the rest of it just like on the other side. Alright, we'll get to levator scapulae later because it's different. So latissimus dorsi runs in the same fascial plane as the spinotrapezius, and you can see that it is here laterally, the fibers running into the axillary region. And then we'll move back to this side because this is the side that's dissected. So the arm, the triceps is three-headed, lateral, long head. We look in here, you can see that's the medial head. Brachialis is this little guy here. You can see it basically starts where the acromiotrapezius dives deep to connect, and it's outlined here by the cleidodeltoid. Cleidotrapezius and the acromiodeltoid. Sorry about that. Happens. Okay, brachialis. I'm not going to go brachioradialis right now. Go to the back. Okay, so if we look at the lateral thigh first, pretty. The first muscle we're going to appreciate is the biceps femoris, which is gigantic, right? So the biceps femoris has two bellies to it. So we can see that's cranial. This large one is caudal. You can see that it comes down here and actually just attaches on the fascia. Speaking of which, so then our anterior-most muscle is tensor fascia lata, and that's this little guy here, which is attached to quite a lot of fascia and should attach down to a ligament down to the patella. If we move it out of the way, then we can see vastus lateralis. And if we move that out of the way, we can see vastus intermedius. So that's two of the four bellies of the quadriceps muscle. We come back up here, we can see two gluteal muscles, gluteus medius, which starts up here and comes down here, and then maximus is just this little guy right there. What are we doing next? Ah, yes. So, then we do superficial muscles of the medial thigh. Now, unfortunately, in the rabbits, the sartorius is ridiculously tiny, so we can see that it did not hold up well to dissection. You can make it out right here on the undissected leg as just this one little line of muscle. Gracilis, on the other hand, is quite prominent and is covering most of the other muscles. The other thing we can see is more tensor fascia lata, which can be viewed on this side, and that's vastus medialis. So if we move gracilis out of the way. Oh, I know, that's what we forgot. You can see some adductors. So adductor magnus, adductor longus, adductor brevis. Then we have the pectineus muscle. And if we gently move everything out of the way, we can sort of imagine that iliopsoas is right there. It's just not super visible under all of the blood vessels. If we move vastus medialis, then we can see rectus femoris right in here. And vastus lateralis is in fact visible on this aspect if you dissect out tensor fasciae lata. So this is in fact the medial aspect of vastus lateralis. Okay, so what I forgot to talk about is the semimembranosus. So you can see a little bit of it here medially, but most of it is best viewed from the lateral aspect here, where it's separated from biceps femoris by the blood vessels here. You can even see it on this undissected side, biceps femoris, semimembranosus. Alright, so then we're going to want to look at some abdominal muscles. So this rabbit was pretty well preserved. It even has some cutaneous muscle that was not removed with the skin. On the undissected side, you can appreciate that the fibers of the external oblique are running in this direction. And then if you go deep to the external oblique, the next muscle layer you encounter is the internal oblique, which is difficult to separate from the external, but if you look at that bit, you can see the fibers run in this direction. So they're both obliques, but they're running at perpendicular angles. And then the deepest layer, the transversus abdominis, runs approximately transverse to the line of the abdomen, thus its name. If we move up to the thoracic region, we again have some more cutaneous muscle here. We can move out of the way to look at the pectoralis muscles. So in the rabbit, pectoralis major makes up all of this superficial muscle here. Pectoralis tenuis makes up this small band. If we move those layers out of the way, we'll see that pectoralis minor or profundus is a narrower band of muscle deep to that. If we also move that, we can appreciate serratus ventralis, which is this whole band of muscles there. Deep and superior to that, these guys are the scalenus muscles. So dorsalis, medius, and ventralis. Thank you very much. And if we look deep, we can also see subscapularis, and this is teres major. There are a few other muscles we can see here, but it would be confusing. Alright, so now we're going to go to, yes. Oh, that's right. Before we do that, I want us to do this then, for some weird reason. Okay, so superficial muscles of the arm. So epitrochlearis is this little guy. You can see that it's very thin. You can see it here where we haven't removed it, just hanging out, covering that aspect. And then biceps brachii is this little guy here. we looked at the other muscles of the arm already. Then we're going to very briefly look at our lumbar muscles, okay? So covered by very thick lumbar dorsal fascia. You see it's very white, very thick. And if you remove that, then we reveal these erector spinae or sacrospinalis muscles that run all along here. All right, how are we doing? We're doing
You did
good.
all these already.
Yeah.
The mastoids.
Mastoids. Okay, so there are only 2 neck muscles to know here, but for orientation, we'll do another one first. So if you look at the neck, you can appreciate that the midline is covered by muscles. The trachea is under here. So this is sternohyoid. The first muscle to know is the sternomastoid because it starts at the sternum and it's going to go up and attach to the mastoid process. The next muscle is the clitomastoid, so that guy's here. Starts at the clavicle and then also goes up to the same mastoid process. And those are the 2 you actually need to know. Just skip those. So, sternomastoid, clitomastoid. Okay, so then let's do those guys from this point of view. Okay, so we can also see subscapularis from this view. You can actually see more of it filling this part of scapula here. And you can see teres major here, but that's not the best view for it. The best view for it is looking at it from this aspect with latissimus dorsi removed. You can appreciate that all of that is teres major. And we're not dissecting that. It's not. This little band here, easier to see when it's been fully dissected out, is teres minor, in between scapula and teres major. If you peel back spinotrapezius, you can see the edge of the infraspinatus, which fills the infraspinous fossa, but is covered by the spinotrapezius and the spinodeltoid. And then this part is all supraspinatus muscle, which fills the supraspinatus fossa. If you, again, bring the arm under, the other thing to appreciate is the rhomboids. So rhomboideus major makes this nice triangle that then attaches down here on the scapula. Rhomboideus minor has yet to be identified, so don't worry about it. It's possible that these guys are that, but we're just going to skip that. But rhomboideus capitis is this band that runs up to the head, and within that band we have the splenius, which is just this little part right here, the lateral aspect. And then this guy is the rabbit's levator scapula. So it starts at the scapula and it comes down here, and it can cause confusion if viewed from the other side of the rabbit. Spinatus, yes. Okay, so that takes us to the antebrachium. And this one. Okay, so this is the extensor aspect. So there are five muscles that you need to know. So this is extensor carpi radialis longus. The next one is extensor carpi radialis brevis. Next is extensor digitorum communis. After that is extensor digitorum lateralis. And then finally, we have extensor carpi ulnaris. we then turn the rabbit over, we can appreciate the fact that the extensors and the flexors have a very close relationship. So this is flexor carpi ulnaris. This is flexor digitorum communis. This little guy is flexor carpi radialis, and then this little guy is the pronator teres. Right? So then we go back to the hind. We'll turn it over. We'll get the biceps femoris out of the way. We can see the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, and the medial head is here. Most of the muscles of the lower leg are best viewed from the lateral aspect. If we get the gastroc out of the way, we can see the soleus is deep to it. And then if we get both of those out of the way, we appreciate that the majority of the posterior aspect of the tibia is filled with the peroneus muscles, which you only need to know peroneus longus. On the anterior aspect, there are two muscles to note. So this is tibialis anterior or tibialis cranialis, depending on which diagram you look at. And then deep to it, we have the extensor digitorum longus. And then if you go to the medial aspect, you can appreciate this muscle, which appears to be the flexor digitorum longus. Excellent. Did I miss anything? Okay. Any questions?